I've had a lot of outside firms, bigger firms, similar firms that went like, hey, what are you doing that's working and things. And when they look sort of under the hood or behind the curtains, they're just like surprised that a firm of our size is doing all that we're doing.
Why do you want to do this podcast? Beyond the bottom line, what does it mean to you?
A whole bunch of things. I don't even know where to start. Number one, we opened an office in Clark Summit. So I do want, there's a whole bunch of people down in Clark Summit and Scranton and Wilkes-Barre who don't know, they're not familiar with Stonehouse, what we do, what an awesome team we have, right? So this podcast is kind of giving them a flavor of the kind of people we work with. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are looking for stuff, information and friendly advice. And but most importantly, they want to work with people that get them, that understand them, right? So you and I, well, we've been friends for, I don't know, it was like 15 years? I don't know.
Yeah, 13.
And I think
maybe?
we work with, we just work with a lot of people in this industry, right? So to me, bringing in to this podcast people that have walked the walk, struggled, like, and you smile when I say that because if you run your own business, you know, yeah, I've struggled. I've worked those extra hours. I've put in my time. Or you're just starting to put in your time. Or you're on the other end of that saying like, okay, I've created this. What do I do with it next? So we interact. It's really a privilege that we have. We interact with a ton of people who have been successful. Not with everything they do, but they've moved the ball forward and advanced it. And I just think it'd be great to hear other stories because it seems like every single person we work with has found their own way, right? And so the one thing I think is very interesting that I find is when people have gone through that, they're super giving of that information. It's not like, oh, I own the secret cheat code or whatever, you know? It's like, oh, here's what worked for me. Try it. Good luck. If it doesn't work, figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my usual very long-winded answer. I don't have short answers for anything. I'm not a TikTok. I can't do it in 10 seconds here. It's got to be longer.
No, it's all right. We'll cut that up into like 4 different answers. I'll insert questions in between your answers.
That's all right. Make it look good. Make it look good.
Okay. So that's very exciting. As a business owner, what was your biggest challenge that you had to overcome?
That's actually really easy. There was and I don't tell the story very often. There was a very specific point in my career, about 7 years in. I would consider it my low point, and I often think about like Olympic athletes. Like the best part about watching Olympics is not necessarily just the competition, but to kind of hear the backstory of what that person went through to get there. And I'm not saying I'm equivalent to an Olympian, but I think when you reach a real low, you run from it after that, right? Instead of, hey, I'd like to do this or this. Sometimes just maybe even a more powerful force is to have a real low point in your life and you say, I never want to go back there again. So that point for me was about 6 or 7 years into this business, and I had left a large broker-dealer and kind of went out on my own. And then my brother-in-law started working with me, Scott, and he and I, we decided to basically reboot our entire business. And it was a super stressful time, but we felt very compelled that this is the way you should be doing business going forward. So without getting too technical, we didn't want to do commission type work. We just wanted we knew we'd have less clients we'd be able to work with, but we said, if you have trust in what we do and you believe in what we do, we're going to work our tails off for you. And so we went down from a client base like this to a smaller one. And from there, we basically rebooted our business. But there was a period in time, maybe about 18 months into that, where I was just scrapping to make ends meet. So I don't know how much of this I want to say. So basically, Well, I've actually confessed my sins to those that were involved now, so I'm on the good side. So I'll share it. But I was, I was paying Scott a pathetically low salary, but enough for him to at least get tuna fish and peanut butter sandwiches, right? And I was down to very low money to even pay either of us. And I actually had a conversation, not with my dad, but with my mom, and she loaned me a little bit of money to make it work. In the meantime, we had just had our second child, and my wife and I were moved into a smaller place so we could make it work, and we were saving for this dream house that we wanted to do. At least she thought we were saving. But in reality, I was trying to figure out how to pay my mother back so I could keep paying Scott, and so none of us went under. And long story short, I'll skip a lot of the details. It was coming down to the end of the year, Thanksgiving-ish time, and I thought, you know what, if we get to the holidays and I still end of this year and I still can't make this, I'm going to go work somewhere. I can't run my own business. It's too hard. I'm going to die of something quickly because it just felt like such a weight, and I don't like not being genuine. And so I was not telling my wife when she thought we downsized so we could save money. I was not telling her about what I was borrowing from my mother because I thought I didn't know how she'd react, and I didn't want to let go of the dream. I really felt this was the way to do financial services. And get on the same side as the client. And I just didn't want to let go of that grief. I can't explain it. And it was almost irrational at times, but I kept justifying in my head. And then, as I was kind of slipping backwards is when my wife said, oh, we're pregnant for the second time. And I'm like, well, now I can't tell her, And so I kept internalizing everything. And suddenly, in about a month's time, it was very strange how it happened. But about 3 or 4 big clients that I had talked to for years and years, I never pressured, never pushed them to do it now or anything like that. It was a weird, like serendipitous thing, but they all kind of called within a few weeks of each other and said, hey, I've been really frustrated with where I was. I'd like to hear more about what you're doing. The next thing you know, boom, 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 they all fell in line within a 30, 60-day period. And I got my head above water. And it was one of the first things I did was I said, Deb, I want to tell you something. I felt like I was confessing some sin. And it got emotional. And she got pretty ticked off about it, but she was ticked for the right reasons. She was mad that I didn't share that burden with her. There's, that's the whole part of a partnership and everything. She said all the right things I wanted to hear, which made the emotions even more, But it's really strange now when I think about, as we sit here today, Stonehouse manages somewhere close to around $700 million for over 1,000 different households. It was this close. It was like within 30 days of just folding up and I would be an employee. So that's a heck of an answer. Is that what you were looking for? That's a big answer, but yeah, there was a lot there.
So I've known you for 13 years and I don't know the story.
Oh yeah? Yeah, I just got to keep it close to until now, right?
Clearly.
That's how much I believe in this podcast, right? I think we need to share stories like that because there's a lot of people out there doing their own business, grinding their own grind. And
people don't talk about how hard it is.
They don't talk about it because you're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to. Or you expect it to be hard. So you don't even wear that as a badge of honor anymore because it just is. Well,
I think you have to. Yeah, that part I agree with. You can't go telling everybody this sucks. This is brutal. Right. I can't take it anymore. No, I mean, and it does get better. But there's also it's a double-edged sword because you can sit there and just bang your head against the wall. And, if timing was off just a little bit, I would have a completely different life and I wouldn't have this business and I wouldn't have an awesome team around me. But I think there's a lot of people that sometimes it doesn't work out and you have to be okay with saying, at least I tried. Mm-hmm. I've had some other, sort of outside ventures, smaller things that, hey, we recognize pretty quickly it's not working, or the environment changed. And this was a really cool idea 18 months ago, but now there's a new law passed, or the funding's different, or the interest rates are different, and we can't do it. The numbers don't work. So, but this was something, man, I just believed in it. And I hated the whole commission world. I hated, the incentive to sell somebody on something and then get paid, and then really not have incentive to call them back in a year or 3 months later. But, ask them to tell me a list of 10 of their friends. Like, whoa, that's just not the way I wanted to do business. So,
right.
It worked out. It's working out, and we have an awesome team. So, and now, I was excited to do this because I wanted to work with you. I think you interact with people that I don't. And we do have some overlap, but it's just so many different types of people out here. And already the folks that we're bringing onto the podcast on this list and everything, we're going to have such a fun time talking to them.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
You're excited.
I know. I am excited because I think when you own your own business, there's a point where you have to work with people. Sometimes you just have to work with people.
Yeah.
But at some point, you get to choose the people you work with.
Yeah.
And I know I've been super fortunate and super blessed to work with people who inspire me and continue to just be in alignment with the same values, the same work ethic, the same vision, the same kind of energy level. And that's why I'm excited to do this podcast with you, because I think we jive in that way, but also we attract other people into our lives and businesses and families who also align with that.
Yeah. Frictionless. This is my new word. Ooh. I don't know why I keep saying frictionless because when clients come to our office, if we make their life harder and add more friction, then why are they even coming to us, right? So it's not like we have to make it as smooth as the possible. It's just got to be a better experience like that. And the same as when you're running a small business, you can't do everything, right? So you outsource, you get subcontractors to help you with the parts that you can't do in-house. And if they're a massive hassle to work with, or communication's not there, payments aren't there, the actual delivery of the service isn't there, you got to find somebody else, right? Because that's all going to come back to your deliverable to your client, right? And so I still remember a conversation that we had, you and I, early on when I asked you for help to make us look better. To your credit, it was Scott and I met with you, and you came back the next week. You just basically were quietly listening and asked a couple of questions, and you came back a week or two later and said, and here's the 5 questions you told me that were things that were important to you. Here's how I'm going to address them. And we were just like, do it.
You know
That's
what?
amazing.
To your point, though, I had left the world of advertising agencies because I didn't like the way they were run. I didn't like the way they took money from their clients. I didn't like the value system that there was. And I wanted to do business differently. I wanted to focus on the client. I wanted to do what was meaningful to them. I wanted to take whatever budget they had and leverage it towards something that would actually get them a return, instead of sell them everything mediocre under one roof.
Right.
Just to try to make a quick buck.
You're spot on. And I think when you run your business that way, you recognize others who run it that way.
Exactly.
And that's where it was with us, right? Yeah. I feel the same way. There's a lot of people that just want to, with advertising and marketing in general, there were a lot of folks that said, we have a package. And we help financial firms, right? And then when you're like, well, but I want to do that. Oh, no. That's not part of the package.
Yeah, you got to go up a level.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So,
no.
And if we wanted to look like every other financial firm, I would have bought their package.
So tell me, what does make Stonehouse different? I mean, if you have this vision and you had the dream and you weren't stopping, and now you've grown significantly, why should people choose Stonehouse over all the other financial?
It's so easy. It says that on our website and it says on our material, but it's hard for me to say it out loud. Why is that? I'm not used to being on this side of the camera.
I know.
We just talked to a previous guest about the word culture, and I think that I don't use that word a lot, but I think it's just it is ingrained in our office. I've had a lot of outside firms, bigger firms, similar firms that want like, hey, what are you doing that's working and things. And when they look sort of under the hood or behind the curtains, they're just like surprised that a firm of our size is doing all that we're doing. Most people, like the industry I grew up in, right, it was like, oh, listen to what they have to say and then put a portfolio in front of them. And then you're good. I mean, we do manage people's money for them, but that's such a tiny piece of their overall well-being, right? I mean, we're not going to get too much into the health side, but from the financial well-being, there's a lot of moving pieces. So that's what we do. We have a program in-house we call Life Stack that Scott and I put together. And I know you know a lot about it because you helped us put the material together. Insanely long Life Stack book that I put together.
It's an award-winning design piece.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, did you win something for that?
Yeah,
That's
pretty
right.
sure we won an for that.
I do remember that. Yeah. Well, it's beautiful to look at, and it's a wonderful thing. So for people that might be listening, Life Stack is basically, we got real tired a long time ago of just talking about their portfolio. Usually clients would often ask about, hey, I have this going on or that going on. Can you help me? And so what we decided to do is sort of make a nice dashboard. So when someone comes into the office, or a lot of folks we're doing virtually these days, we can put up on the screen or on their computer at home, here's all the different pieces of your life. And some of the, we can't do it all at once because it's a little daunting. But what we'll do is we'll prioritize based on whatever you have issues with right now that you want to get under control. And then once we get that managed, okay, what about this? Like just basic things like wills and estate planning stuff, or when do I take Social Security? And what about my heirs and my kids? And what about a small business or a side hustle I have? Mm-hmm. All that stuff, it has to go in. And we just put it all up on the dashboard. And what we do is when people come in for visits or we're doing it virtually, is we just go through it. And if we haven't visited some of those pieces, they get highlighted for us and kind of brought to the top. Like, it's been a while since you talked about this. And so what it does is it kind of creates a bunch of checklists. People like checklists, myself included. And,
brains love checklists.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
do.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't go through all that. We don't get to everything we wanted to because one thing was really critical we got, but you spend the time on it and you just keep it going and keep it healthy. So it's just like a healthy checkup. And that's what Life Stack is, just stacking all those pieces of your life together. So that's definitely something that makes us unique. And I'd say the other thing is, I think we've done a really good job of bringing in sort of the triad of things where you're looking at their money, you're looking at legal issues going on, and you're looking at Medicare and healthcare stuff. And not that we're healthcare experts, but we understand that especially as you age into retirement or transition into retirement, knowing that you have enough money to not run out of money, knowing that you have all your legal matters and your beneficiaries and what ifs covered, and then knowing all right, I've got to sign up for Medicare. I still remember a lady who was 65, and she and her husband were in the office, and she said, in 6 months, she was actually 64, but she said, in 6 months, I'm ready to set up for Medicare. And then she just sat there really quiet. And a few minutes later, I'm like, you okay? And she's like, I can't believe I just said I have to sign up for Medicare. It was an age thing. You don't know this yet, but sometimes as you get older, you look in the mirror and you're like, well, who is that? But it was really hitting her, wow, I'm about to, draw Social Security or sign up for Medicare. It was a lot for her at that moment in time. But we just walk people through it. And I think the real thing that sets us apart is we help people. I think we empower our clients. So it's not like, you should do this, and then don't ask me questions, just do it. Nobody wants that. We're not afraid to say, I think you should do this, but here's why. Mm-hmm. And if you'd like to know, here's why I don't think these other things are right for you. And we'll spend as much time or as little. Sometimes they just say, just tell me. And other times they want to know every single detail. Whatever you want. We're your advisors. We're not your dictators or salespeople, right? So
major life and business changes can really shake things up for worse, and sometimes, I believe, for the better. As a certified neuro coach, I know that when we are in an area of transformation in our lives that we did not choose, or maybe we did, we're bumped up against our comfort zone. And when that happens, our subconscious mind gets louder and louder and tries to pull us back to where we feel safe. But I know as a certified neuro coach that this is the perfect time to take this transformation and turn it into something that you desire, something that you want. This is the perfect time to rewire those old limiting beliefs that have gotten in your way, and let's break free from that in this time of transformation and make it work for you. Let's turn this into a magical moment. I would love to hear from you. You can book a call on my website at mariaconaglero.com. Let's make this transformation last.
Well, this is the Beyond the Bottom Line podcast. So let's talk about your family, your health, your hobbies.
Oh, I hate you for asking that question. Because if my wife were here right now, she'd be like, he's not paying attention. I'm like a doctor scaredy cat, so I don't do all that stuff that I should do. I still do a lot of exercise, and every day or every week, my wife's got us eating something else healthier or something. But yeah, I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that I'm doing that stuff, supplements and vitamins and all that jazz. And then on top of that, I'm constantly learning. If there's one thing I'm like addicted to, it's I don't know if I'd say podcast, but just learning. Mm-hmm. And especially in the financial industry, it just changes underneath your feet every year. And so if you're not learning and paying attention to new laws that are passed, it's going to pass you out. So, and overall, I'm a small business owner, and I have other partners, but if I do believe that if you're not growing, you're slowly shrinking into oblivion. Mm-hmm. That sounds a little hyperbole, but it feels like that.
Yeah.
And it used to be just myself and Scott and then John and so forth. But then now we have just on our investment side, we have 20 families that are responsible. That we're all together in it together, and then close to another 15 on the accounting office. So all that stuff's super important. It's like my family and then my work family, and there's not a heck of a lot of difference there because we spend a lot of time with both.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's important. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got. So you love to learn, you love your family, and you love your work family.
I do. I have a really fortunate life right now. Mm-hmm. People say, gosh, I'm only 53, but people are like, so what happens when you're, I'm like, wait a minute, before you start that conversation, I'm 53. But I see people get out of this industry when they're that age.
Sure.
I have zero interest in it. I really enjoy it. I'm not doing the same things that I did when I was, 20 years ago. I think I'm in my 27th year, 28th. But I have some awesome people that I work with. And, gosh, we just had a guest in here, right? And just that energy that somebody brings can really change it makes you want to get out of bed. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited to go home at nights too, but it does make me not have any interest in stopping. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. How is your work-life balance?
I get made fun of on vacations because I can't seem to detach from the laptop. And it sounds really silly, but I can't sit still. As you can tell, I kind of move in the chair. I don't like to sit down for more than an hour, so this will be limited to an hour. But on vacations, I'm a sucker for just plop me in a chair on the beach side and an umbrella over my head and some headphones or something, or a person next to me and having good conversation. I could do that for 8 hours a day, no problem. Doing it for 5 days in a row is probably a problem. Doing it for 2 days, at some point, eventually, I gotta know what's going on with the business. I just want to know, and I don't even have to really. To me, it's not work. It's instead of putting a puzzle and doing a puzzle at the table on vacation, I throw the laptop up and return emails and check things out and just make sure everything's clicking. I don't think it's a problem. Do you think it's a problem?
I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
I think it's a passion.
It's a huge passion.
Yeah, I think it's a passion. And I think a lot of business owners are passionate about what they do because you would have to be in order to dedicate the time, energy, attention, focus, knowledge, resources, money, sacrifices toward it.
Let me ask you this. So I'm going to ask you a question to analyze me or my type. Do you think, like, I kind of view stop laughing. I haven't asked the question.
Analyzing your type.
I have thought of my business of Stonehouse as, I'm not saying it's like exactly like my children, but it's like almost like a third child.
You've created it.
Yeah, in my mind, I guess, right? Like it needs attention, it needs love, whatever you want to say, but it needs things. And I feel like, sometimes I'm the only one that can provide that type of whatever it needs. I'm not now. I mean, I realize there's a lot of great people that are working on the same thing, but unfortunately, it's just me and my wife working on my kids, and who are both great, by the way. But yeah, is that an unhealthy way to kind of view the business as your?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's good to know, because sometimes I think I'm crazy when I care so much about it.
Compared to what? And compared to who? You know, if you're sitting in a room with all business owners, that's normal. If you're sitting in a room with a bunch of other folks who don't run a business, that's weird.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't think it matters. I think if it's not taking away from your life, if it's adding to your life, how could that be unhealthy?
Yeah,
you know, anything could be, and too much of a good thing can be bad.
I think when I think about I think a lot, right? I said that word 10 times in a row right there. When I look at business owners and I kind of think back of when I grew up in the building industry, which I've talked about before, my dad was a contractor. My brother basically took over that business, and I thought I was going to work with my brother and be partners, but I think I was always going to be his little brother, and that's fine too. And he's left that. I left that business. That was very, very difficult for me because I'm very family oriented, and that was another super emotional moment in my life. It was a hugely pivotal moment. It didn't scar us and ruin us. I thought it was going to sever the relationship, but it didn't. And I think that's really tough. We've talked in the past with people who have to make a decision, like, instead of doing this for the family, I'm going to do my thing for myself. And, you know, when I did that, I look at my brother, and he and his wife have taken that business to a whole nother level, right? And I'm super happy for them. But I look at them kind of and look at myself, and I was like, okay, it's their passion. It's their other baby, right? And they spend the hours. And I mentioned about, you know, building the building of the business is outside the margins, and it's before the clock starts in the day, and it's after hours at night when you actually get a chance to work on the business, not in the business. And so that passion, that desire that I had to do financial management the right way versus the way everybody was telling me it was supposed to be done. I wasn't the one who invented it, but I saw some of these new models coming out, and I'm like, that fee-only kind of model is the way to do it, because you're so aligned with the people you're working with. You all want the same thing. And if you don't have that, like when I look at my brother and sister-in-law in the building business, they work a ton of hours too. It's not the same kind of work. I get it. I put roofs on before, and I know what they're doing. They're doing all kinds of paperwork and stuff. It's different work, but it's still that passion and the dedication to getting it done. It's hard to find people that have that anymore. I feel like I'm starting to turn into my parents. I think we all kind of do, but it's really hard to find that. But I think those people are out there, and sometimes they just need a good fit. I think there's one opportunity out there for people. It's part of the passion of putting this podcast together. There are a lot of folks in the 55 to 75, I'd say 55 to 65, especially age, that are tired of running their business, and they still have a successful business, and they want to transition it. Maybe they don't have a family member or a key person that's ready to take it over. Somebody could walk into that business and say, what are you doing when you're done working? And it might be a great way where you don't have to start from scratch. You can say, I'd be interested in buying your business. And then you start working with those numbers. And sometimes we get involved with people, helping those folks figure out how to crunch those numbers. Does it make sense for me? Do I have the skill sets to do it? Or what do I have to outsource and things like that? So we work with both the buyers and the seller sides of that. Like somebody's got this business and they are ready to walk out the door. They're probably going to get a nice chunk of change. And Uncle Sam's going to want a piece of that and everybody else. But you want to probably make sure that you finally get paid for all the money you left in the business for decades, right? And so we work with them pretty closely on how to manage all that, usually and alongside their accountants. We have accountants too, but a lot of times people already have their accountants and that's fine to stay in place. But that's a really fun part of the business because that's confusing and stressful, but it's also possibly the most rewarding part is when you finally make your exit and give your farewell speech and then obviously
it's a pivotal time.
Sunset,
it's a very pivotal time.
Yeah. Something to look forward to though. I'm so far away from it today personally, but it's fun to help others do it.
I think
did you just get emotional? I thought you were going to get emotional.
No.
Damn.
No, you haven't made me cry yet.
I'll work on the next one.
Scott has. No, I'm just kidding.
He does have that tendency. That's great. That's a whole other story. I'll ask you about that one.
I'm actually kidding. There was a financial advisor, though, once that did make me cry twice.
Why?
I even went back a second time.
Why is that?
I was very new out of college and I had a good job. And someone from college reached out and said, hey, I'm working for a company and, you know, I see you're successful or whatever and what you're doing. Do you want to come in and we'll talk about your retirement? And I said, sure. So I get there and I meet him in the lobby area and he brings me into an office with somebody older than him, his like mentor or guide or whatever.
Sure.
He goes through a spiel and then this other guy comes and sits down in front of me and basically shows me the brochure of the things I need to do. And he basically said, oh, you know what? I think I had just started my business. You enjoy working right now, but at some point you're going to trade your stilettos for bedroom slippers and you're going to become a mother.
Oh my
and a wife.
Wow.
And you're not going to want to run a business anymore. And you need to put yourself in a position to whatever. After that, I was just like, wah, wah, wah. Like,
wow, that was brazen.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know if those guys are out there anymore that are going to come in and heavy-handed like that. But.
So I get in the elevator and I just cried. I don't even know. I
hope no one's done that when they left my office. I was so offended
and so insulted to think that, you know, someone would think that I would just, like, this is a game or like a hobby or not something that means the absolute world to me.
Yeah.
You know? As would running a family, but I was just so offended for so many reasons. Like, looking back now, I could be offended for many, many reasons. But I think I ended up going back for a second meeting.
Really?
Yeah. And after that, I was like, no. I just said no.
Well, I mean, I guess, congratulations to actually standing up and saying no. But
that was
surprised
interesting.
that a young entrepreneur would have three people come in the room. You know, usually I could see a brand new advisor.
It was a new advisor and his boss or something.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought you meant another one came in.
Oh,
too.
no.
Oh, the boss said that.
The boss
too.
is who said that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like.
And the boss, in that situation, he may have been saying to the younger guy, like, watch, this is how you handle it. And like that. People get like, it was very salesy in the old broker-dealer world because it was like you only got paid if you got someone to purchase not a product, but that specific product. And certain products paid more because of proprietary. It depends on where you worked and what products you had. But this was when I got into that industry, I was told, I said, like, I don't want to be an insurance salesman. I have nothing against insurance salesmen. We still help people get their insurance and things like that. But I don't want to be just out there talking to insurance. I want to be able to say, what do you have going on and how can I help? And then
A
have
human
the
to
tools.
human connection.
Yeah. I'm
How
a
can
solution.
I help you?
Let me be your point person.
Yes.
What's going on? Okay, I have something for that, or
Yes.
these two things will help that. In that case, it was always like, the hammer and nail thing, so it's like, this is all I have, so this is probably what you need.
Right.
Ugh, that's gross.
how-
Yeah.
That's exactly how I was with my branding.
But those people,
company.
I mean, there used to be, I hate saying this, but it deserves to be talked about, is that like end of the month sales campaigns where they used to say, the one place that would say, tell your clients to go ahead and apply for this insurance because you'll get credit for it. And then even if they cancel it in 10 days, it'll come off the books, but you'll have credit for the end of the month and you'll make these levels or campaign trips and stuff like that. I can't imagine just a more uncomfortable way to do business. And I jettisoned out of there relatively quickly. It was tough because I had to end up, I thought I was leaving with a bunch of people, like 3 or 4 other people, and we were going to go do our own thing. And I was the only one that raised his hand to say, let's go. And I was shocked that the other 3 didn't.
Takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. It's, I wonder if it's courage. It wasn't an option for me. I would literally rather cancel the dream than go. But then I got so far down into that path that I didn't want to let that dream go, which is why you heard that earlier story. So, but things are great. Like, it's not perfect now. We're always building and, we expanded that office into the Clark Summit just recently. And people are like, why do you keep expanding? I'm just like, because we've been fortunate to keep finding really good advisors and then a support team that works along with them. And, a couple of our advisors are from Clark Summit's Scranton area, and they're thrilled. And we said, hey, we're going to commit to a new office. And they were like, oh my gosh. Like
Close
Christmas
to home.
Day.
Yeah. That's so
great.
nice.
So as long as we can keep doing what we're doing, it really doesn't matter where we're doing it. We do a lot of stuff virtually now. So we do a lot of, there's some large companies that we work with that are also other plants and locations on the map. And so we work virtually a lot of retirees coming out of those different companies. And the world is amazing these days.
It is. It is. There's so many opportunities.
2020 changed how we interact with a lot of things. So, there was some bad stuff there too, but some good came out of it.
Absolutely.
So as your wealth builds, so does the amount of pressure that surrounds you, right? Maybe your income is still higher than ever and your business has more revenue than ever, but you're also thinking about your family, your employees and their families, debts that you need to pay off, taxes that you want to minimize, cash flows to track, all while trying to stay excellent at your job and innovative within your industry. Our team at Stonehouse helps you manage your personal wealth, whether it's in your retirement plan, your business, or any other place. While you're busy out there conquering the world and trying to take care of others, don't forget about taking care of yourself. Contact Stonehouse to see how we can help make your life better.
What do you want our listeners to take away from our podcast?
How about, I would love for them to relate to our guests, connect and say, depending on what podcast they're watching, I want people to be like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about, or I'm dealing with that right now. And which is why I like to ask questions when somebody's telling us that they really struggled at a certain point in their life cycle with their business. I want to know, I don't want to know your numbers. I want beyond the bottom line. I want to know, who do you go to when it gets the darkest, right? I used to, my time with the United Way, I gave a speech one time and I apparently went over well, but I said, a single candle, right, doesn't get anybody's attention unless the room is completely dark. So when someone feels very hopeless or just that weight of everybody's expecting and needing something from me, it gets so heavy. And so like in a dark room, that one candle, all you need is one conversation from the right person or just this piece of advice that gets you over that hump. It doesn't always work out that way. But if you can get over that, then next thing you know, the next step, and then the next step, and the next step.
I love that.
Yeah, it's it's a cliche, I guess, but there's so much
it's
truth. There's a
beautiful.
lot of people that have stories like that.
Absolutely, there is.
A lot of successful people. Yeah.
How about that quote? It's lonely at the top. Do you think?
I don't know.
Do you think it's lonely? No, but don't you think like it can be lonely as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So,
So you're in a
interesting.
position where you have a partner, and now many
Yeah.
partners.
Yep.
I do not have partners in my business.
Yep.
So it can be extremely lonely because you can't always go to your employees to discuss business matters. Sometimes your family certainly doesn't understand. Sometimes your spouse doesn't always understand. So I love that question of who do you go to? When you're a solopreneur, business owner, don't have partners, how do you build a network of people that can be your support system?
So, all right, I'll start with my joke that I've been telling lately is how do you tell when someone's goes to CrossFit? They talk about CrossFit all the time.
Yeah.
So if you need help and you don't have a partner in your business, if you need help with something business related, there are probably a ton of other business owners who would be more than happy to grab lunch with you. And actually, one of the greatest things that I did when I moved into this town that we're headquartered in, when I came down here for the first time, I knew one or two very prominent business people. And I said, look, I know I'm brand new in the business. I know there's zero chance of me getting to work with any of your accounts. I'm not asking for that, but can I take you to lunch because I know you know everybody in this town. And I would really like to just know, who I should get to know and where I don't want to spend time, who I don't want to spend time with, right? And both of those people became clients.
Wow.
And I think I wasn't trying to do that. I mean, that's a great outcome, but they just realized that I was genuine in what I was presenting and trying to do. And they didn't write a check and say, hey, let me invest. It took some time, right? But very quickly and relatively in terms of time, they became clients and then they just talked about it, right? So I think that, I don't know, it's like an unspoken brethren thing, as small business owners, immediate hey, respect. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And so that's great. I will say, I'm glad you brought that up. I did think about this though. A piece of advice I got, ironically from Bill Sardoni Sr., one time, and I was talking to him. I won't go into the details what we were talking about, but I was talking about, we were chatting about a business venture. And at the end of the whole thing, he said, I'm not interested. He's like, I don't really know anything about the area that you're dealing with. But he said, I'll give you a piece of advice. Whatever you can do, try your darn hardest to never have to partner with anybody. Try to stay on your own. That was too late because I was sitting next to my partner.
Yeah.
But in this business venture, he was just saying, it would be better if you guys could do it without needing somebody like me. And I thought that was super interesting. I always remember that. However, with that said, I have been fortunate to have a couple of businesses. Stonehouse is certainly the biggest one by far, and also the tax business. Scott, John, Kirk are my partners in Stonehouse. Ben Denal on the accounting side as well. Jason Legg, he and I owned a building together. Now he's the judge up in Susquehanna County. And those are all fantastic guys. And I can tell you, I have had an unlimited amount of conversations one-on-one with them late at night, ethical dilemmas. Geez, both things are, it's so gray. What do you do in this situation? And it just feels so much better to have someone to confide in. I just felt like this business, I was alone, if you will, in this business for a very short time, and it felt really difficult. So I don't know, Bill's advice was great. I don't know if it's the right advice for me. I do better when I talk through things. And if I'm in a room talking to myself, it's pretty weird, man.
It is. No, I've heard people say there are people who are talk to thinkers.
Yes.
Which I am
yeah,
one
and
of
moving
those.
around while I'm talking is where I do. Yeah.
And then there are think to talkers.
Okay.
People who need to sit in silence
Yes.
and think
Yes.
before they speak.
Those are the people I like to partner
Yes,
with. Because
exactly.
they shut up and listen to me,
Yeah.
and then I'll shut up and listen to them.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but I think if you have the right partner, I mean, and almost every one of those people I just mentioned, not everyone, but like we've also got into some, not like fisticuffs or anything, but, go home angry that night at each other and then come back the next day. And you know what? That was kind of stupid. Like, I don't know if it's a guy thing, but guys are just used to going at it, and then the next day you're besties again. So we just don't use the word
Overcoming
besties,
challenges together can help build a connection, stronger connection.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Well, the other thing I would say too is, and I can only speak for my industry, but I think in most industries that I know of in today's world, it's really hard to find people that get the work done. And so as much as I used to, in the first 5 years of my career, I used to look at, oh, you're an advisor for that company. You're the enemy. Like, and we're going to compete. And I just don't really do a lot of competing per se. I mean, I know our clients, when they first come on, they're talking to a couple other places, but I think we do a very good job of showing them what we have and showing them what the costs are and what the value they get for that. And most of them that we talk to become clients, and we have a really good lifespan. Our clients are with us for a very, very long time. So that all makes me feel really good. But the point I'm trying to make is I used to look at everybody as an adversary in my industry, and now I actually look at everyone as a peer. And a lot of those peers have become friends. Like I won't name their names because it's not fair to give them free publicity. But there's at least 4 or 5 who I would consider very good friends in my area that we serve on boards together, or we just go grab lunches and we compare notes. Just like, how's it working for you and this, and I just find that invaluable. And you know what? There's a pretty decent chance that we might all work together someday. Who knows? Even if it doesn't work out that way, I built a friendship. You can always use another friend, and I've extracted a ton of value, and I hope they have too. And the other thing I'll say on that real quick is, you've heard me say this before, but I told my kids years ago that my friends are like tools in a toolbox. They all have a different use. And I think that that's the case when I need emotional support or somebody to just like listen to me vent, that's this friend. And somebody that wants to run numbers with me or whatever, that's this friend or partner, right? Yeah. So anyway.
I've built the same kind of network. And it's funny because some of my best friends also run advertising type agencies. Yeah. And I on paper, we're competition. Like 2 of my best friends own their own very similar agencies. Yeah. But we share.
And you probably lean on each other.
We lean on each other constantly. Yeah. Advice, clients, we help each other out. It's amazing. And there's enough to go around.
Well, and I think your attitude shifts. Like if you're saying, I don't have any work to do this week, then everybody does feel like the enemy. But when you have 600 people on a waiting list or whatever, or you have, 10 customers you can't even return a phone call to today, do you really need to protect you need to figure out how to do your job better and get more help inside, whatever it is that you have going on. Something needs to be kind of right-sized, if you will. So yeah, it's great. I've
heard the saying that every 30 years we go from a me society to a we society. Have you heard this?
No.
I heard it,
and now different channels.
I hear lots of weird things.
From a me to a we to a me, or me to a we.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the pendulum swings. So think about 30 years ago. I think it was a very me society.
Yeah, I'd say that.
And I think now we are in very much a we society, sharing information. We're exactly what we're doing.
So
very
when
much
it
a
swings
we
back
society.
to a me, is that
then what?
Is the me going to be AI?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Are you real? We just had this conversation.
I don't know.
Some of the AI out there is pretty freaky, pretty exciting and scary at the same time. But anyway, that's I look at this whole thing and I'm like, I don't feel I've had a lot of success, but to get to the success I have today, I went through a lot of failure. Not a lot of failure, but I went through some very difficult failure. both financially and emotionally. And it was draining, right? I mean, that's what these are.
Oh,
there's a lot of storyline right here,
I was
man.
wondering.
I'm telling you. But I just feel like the people that say, "Oh, I mapped it all out when I was 20," I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
But I think you just need to be. In today's world, I think you need to be open and keep your head up and learning, and stop thinking like, oh, I've got this mastered, and then you basically rest on your laurels, and you're doing the same thing for the next 2 years. The next thing you know, your competitors caught right up to you, and they're past you. And you're like, oh, I got to start. Oh no, you should have started. You should have never stopped. Yeah, so I think people need to recognize that.
One of my coaching clients said to me recently, what I know could fill a book. What I don't know could fill a library.
Yeah.
And I love that
That is really
so much.
I'm going to steal that one. I like
That's
that.
a really good one, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't have any knowledge bombs to drop. You know what I think that's interesting, though? I don't know if it's if everybody who's had success with business feels this way, but I don't feel successful. I don't feel like when you said it's lonely at the top, I don't know. I'm not at the top.
Yeah,
I'm higher than I was, but one of the things, I literally just yesterday changed my screensaver to, there's a picture of Mount Everest, and it's only like a 50-foot at the top of the peak, and there's got to be 50 people on it. And to me, I just sat, it came up on my, I don't know where it came up. It popped up on a screen. It was a storyline. So I screen saved it. And I just look at that picture and I think, some of the things you strive so hard to get to the top, and you think you're going to be above all others. And it's just this masterful, powerful moment. And all I could think about was how frustrating would it be if I spent God knows how much to go to Mount Everest, and an unbelievable amount of probably training to stay in shape to get up to there, and the actual effort of the climb, which is probably brutal. And then you get there and you can't literally enjoy it because there's 13 people behind you waiting for you to take your selfie so they can get in. You only have like 5 minutes before the sun goes down, and because you got to start your climbing down your descent. And like, I don't like to go to a vacation spot and take a picture when there's people waiting to take the picture. I'm like, forget it, I'm just not going to take the picture, right? I can't imagine if I went through all that to get to that moment and I don't get to enjoy it. Why am I saying all this? I guess it's just, to me, there is no top. To me, it's just the path to get there, that journey. Again, it sounds cliche, but I'm enjoying the journey.
I love that.
And I fumble and I stumble, but I just get up and I keep going. Oh, I'll figure a better way to do this. I'll have somebody else do this with me. It's more fun sometimes. And I just enjoy that. So that's my story.
I love
and
that.
I'm sticking to it.
And I will say, from a success coach standpoint, everyone's version of success should be different, right?
Sure.
So your version of success is not to get to the top and not enjoy it. That's not your version of success.
Right.
So, I mean, I would ask, what is success to you?
Yeah.
And what does it feel
I knew you were going to
like?
ask that question. I was already
What
starting
does
to
it
think.
feel like? Because you can feel success
So my dad,
right now.
my father passed away when he was in his 83rd year. And he worked construction, as I said. But my dad's a crazy man. Like, he was awesome. Everybody loves my dad. But when he stopped, he was working construction with my brother, lessening his hours and dwindling it down. But one of the toughest parts of his life was when he completely stopped working. It was basically because his body was like, stop, you got to give me a rest. But mentally, that was very difficult. And my dad lived close to me, so he would stop in and always beg for coffee and like, hey, let's have a cup of coffee, and he always try to make time. And he would talk about that a lot. And to me, so I guess the reason I don't have a desire to get to the top is because that's the end. And I think if there's an end, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, no one's ever talked about like, oh my gosh, I descended Mount Everest. No one wants to hear about the walk down.
That's gotta
right?
suck.
Right. It's like, you're a fan, you can't feel your fingers. No, they want to hear what was it like to get there? How long did it take? And so these guys laugh at me in the office because, today I don't know when this gets published, but, Stonehouse was managing somewhere around 700 million. I can remember when it was 100 and 250 and it's internally where we kind of say, hey, congratulations, we got to 700. But, when we hit 500 years ago, not that long ago, actually, there was a nice little email thread with all of us. And everybody's like, yeah, great. And I said, cool, we're halfway there. And my one partner was like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? And I said, well, we're always halfway there. And he said, what does that mean? I was like, if you say we're there, we're done. Like we just lose. In a small business, you can't do that.
No, it's momentum. You got to keep the momentum. Yeah.
And there's nothing stopping us because we just have great people. And we're just doing the same thing, just with new people. It's just great.
Yeah.
So we just have to manage the growth, which the tech is really helpful to get that done. So not to give a commercial for Stonehouse, but that's the kind of stuff that drives me. And I always talk about retirement a lot in my videos. And there's two types of people that retire. There's people that are running out of their company. They can't wait to get the heck out of there. Maybe it's a new boss or their body aches from whatever they've been doing. And then there's other people who are running to something. Regardless of what they're doing today, I can't wait to have the time to go travel or be with my grandkids or whatever it is. The best retirement in my book is a little bit of both. I'm done. It's time to retire. And I can't wait to do this. And they've got a bucket list ready to go, all these things. The part that scares me for people when they retire is when they don't really have anything. More on the what they're going to, that next chapter. Right. And I don't really have anything pulling me right now, right? So I don't even think about retirement. And I know that when I watched my dad, I kind of think about that. Like he used to say, you really need a light at the end of the tunnel. Like he was excited when we put a vacation on the calendar, like a family vacation, because he's like, I got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And so, eventually I'll do that. But I think from a business perspective, man, I just love being able to take the success we had last year and plow that back into the business to just do a little bit more next year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what we're doing.
Love it. I think it's inspiring.
Cool. That's what we want to do.
Anything else you can think of?
That's it. My voice is going.
Okay.
I'm going to start failing here.
Oh, no.
No, I mean, this is...
Grab a lozenge because you've got to ask me some questions now.
I will say it's really weird sitting on this side of the microphone. I can't honestly tell you I like it.
Okay, you're done.
I am half my mother and half my father. So my mom was an amazing listener and my dad talked. So
perfect.
It's a good mix, but I think I'm done talking. So I think I'm ready to ask you some questions.
Okay.
All right.
Good job. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Beyond the Bottom Line. Thank you for listening. If this conversation sparked something for you, please let us know. Follow, share, or leave a review. It helps us keep having the conversations we love that you love to listen to. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more real talk from real leaders. Until then, here's to feeling successful beyond the bottom line.